The role, the size, and representation of Portland City Council will change drastically if voters choose to pass the proposed charter reform on the ballot this year.
And there is a lot in this. It does call for multi-member districts across Portland, 12 councilors and a mayor. But what would city council districts with several members mean for the city, and how much would they make? Lots of questions. Our Brandon Thompson looking into the research around and the proposed charter reform.
Ranked choice voting is growing in the United States, but pairing it with multi-member districts is rare, and Portland would be the nation's first major city to use it. So why did the commission choose it, and how much would city councilors make? Melanie Billings-Yuen co-chaired the review of Portland's city charter. She says it was clear Portland's 5-member commission form of government favored the interests of Portland's wealthiest voters.
I'm not saying I don't want to represent all those people. We do, but we want to represent those people plus the other people who historically have not been invited to the table.
In Portland, 31% of voters are people of color and 46% are renters. The commission heard research looking at minority representation 3 times. The first looked at several methods, including 5, 7, and 9 single-member districts. In 100,000 computer generations, no generation produced a district with the majority of voters of color, and it found, quote, very unlikely to have a district that has anything more than 40% of minority voters.
In any district throughout the city, even if you have 9 districts throughout the city, in every single district, voters of color are going to be in the electoral minority. And therefore, if voters of color do have different political preferences than white voters, if you're only electing one person, voters of color will never be able to elect a candidate.
The commission came up with 4 multi-member districts with 3 members each, importantly, elected through proportional ranked choice voting. That means once a candidate hits 25% plus 1 vote, the excess first-place votes are taken from the winner and the second-place votes are proportionally distributed until 3 members are elected. Colin Cole, with More Equitable Democracy, worked on the second piece of research, finding 12 members is where minority voters would begin to get proportional representation.
They're not going to win every seat. They're not going to even win a majority of seats unless a lot of white voters share their priorities, and then they will. But all that it's guaranteeing is that they're able to elect their fair share of candidates, which seems like a pretty American idea.
I don't see how any of that moves us closer to either representing our neighborhoods more effectively or picking up garbage on the street.
MAPS has proposed an alternate reform, though it is not on the ballot and is more of a wish list. He wants 7 single-member districts to ensure neighborhood representation. He and other critics are troubled by not knowing what the 4 districts in the proposal that is on the ballot this year would look like or what councilors would make. Should Portlanders have a right to know what that's going to be before making their decision?
Well, that's kind of impossible, actually.
The commission was not given the legal authority to determine districts or compensation. If the proposal passes, 2 more commissions would decide those things. But the charter proposal website says it's a range of $900,000 to an $8.7 million cost, an $8 million range that hinges on if councilors would be paid for part-time stipend type role or a full-time position.
If we're really trying to reach diversity within this city and you make it so that it's a volunteer position or only a partly paid position, what that means is that only rich people can run.
The commission did put guardrails on the size and shape of districts, saying districts should be compact and neighborhoods should not be broken up. Guys?